Assalamu alaikum. Let's get started with this topic that we have on page number 98. And if we have a look at this topic, this comes under the heading of family diversity, right? We studying postmodernist optimism about, and we studying this under the heading of family diversity. Now, we all know what the word diversity means. We're talking about different variations. But before we get started, I think it's pretty important for us to be sure about what postmodernism is. As I refer to this word postmodernism, as I speak about this word postmodernism has to do with an era that has followed the modernist era. Like we have prepaid, postpaid. Postpaid is an era that has followed modernity. Postmodernism is an era that has followed modernity. To give you a quick little idea about what the modernist perspectives look like, if we speak about modernist perspectives over here, functionalism, Marxism, feminism, interactionism, they're all considered to be modernist theories or modernist perspectives. Moving on towards the postmodernist perspectives here, if we speak about postmodernist perspectives, like I said, it's an era that is followed by modernism. Now, what is it about postmodernism that we all need to keep in mind? Number one, when we're talking about postmodernism, remember we're talking about today, we're talking about the contemporary era. And as we speak about this contemporary era, the first thing, technological advancement. And what other better example would they be when you talk about technological advancement? If you talk about these online classes, this class being taken over here online, that's an example of technological advancement. Now, since we're studying this under the heading of family, remember there has been technological advancement that has affected family life as well. Now, to hint you on this, we have new reproductive technologies today, right? Number two, the second point that has to be kept in mind when you talk about postmodernism is postmodernists emphasize on the amount of choice that we have today. According to postmodernists, we have a lot more choice today as we did back in the past. And this excessive amount of choice that we have today, it has actually made a difference. Remember, more choice can lead to more of family diversity. Number three, postmodernists are against meta narratives. Now, the word narrative, everyone knows what the word narrative means, and a meta narrative has to do with a big story. Now, what has to be kept in mind about this particular third point over here is, according to the postmodernist perspective, like I said over here, they are against meta narratives, or in other words, they like referring to the modernist perspectives as big stories that are being used by people or different sociological school of thoughts to explain how the society runs, to explain how the society operates. Now, these postmodernists, they are against the idea of a meta narrative. In other words, they're against the functionist perspective, Marxist perspective, feminist perspective, interactionist perspective. To put it in a simplistic manner, when we speak about postmodernists being against the idea of these modernist theories, referring to them as meta narratives, what counts over here is, or rather say, the justification these postmodernists provide for them are: number one, according to them, functions have their own explanation as to how the society runs and operates. Number two, if you talk about Marxists have their own explanation as to how the society runs and operates. Feminism have their own story to tell, and so is the case with interactionism. The point that has to be kept in mind is, how do you think it's practically possible for four different school of thoughts all having their own different explanations as to how the society runs and operates, and they all claiming to be correct? That doesn't make sense, which I think I'd like to give postmodernism a plus two on. Now, it's more like me saying, it's more like me arguing with someone. It's like me saying, oh, it's morning, and another person saying, oh, it's afternoon, and the third person saying it's night. It could either be morning, afternoon, or night. We can't, all three of us, we can't just be correct at the same time. I hope everyone gets this. Moving on. The fourth point that postmodernism has to focuses on or emphasizes on. According to postmodernism, absolute truth does not exist. In other words, according to postmodernists, there is no certainty about what's true and what's not, because guess what? Whatever is true today has the possibility of being proven wrong tomorrow. In other words, 2 plus 2 is equals to 4 until proven wrong. Now, these are the 4 points that I'd like everyone to keep in mind and to remind themselves about whenever you come across the word postmodernism. This works for AS, this works for A2 as well. In A2s, when you'd be doing religion, education, and media, these 4 points that we are discussing right now when it comes to postmodernism, they'd be pretty handy there as well. So, summing it up, according to the postmodernist perspective, that is a perspective that has followed the modernist perspective. They believe there's technological advancement. They believe we have more of choice today as compared to the past. They believe that a single narrative isn't really enough to explain us about the society. And the fourth point, they believe absolute truth does not exist. If there's absolute truth does not that if absolute truth does not exist, put it into perspective. How is it that someone can claim that a particular family farm would be better than another family farm? Now, for the people who die hard supporters of nuclear family, for the people who believe that a nuclear family is the best existing family farm, how on earth do you think that makes sense? How do you think they can sound absolute about a particular family farm being some way or the other superior than the rest? Now, guess what? I did not say all of this. All of what I spoke about since the last 5 minutes, all of that comes from the postmodernist perspective. I hope everyone understands this.